If you find yourself repeatedly performing the same sequence of actions in Fusion, I want to tell you about a plugin that I use called AnyMacro. AnyMacro allows you to record a sequence of up to 10 actions and then play them back at any time via a custom button placed on your toolbar. One example of how I use AnyMacro is to create a simplified primitive as a bounding box of my original part body, and I'll show you how I do that right now. Okay, so with the part file open, I'm going to head to the Utilities tab, and I have a button that says AnyMacro. When I press this, it will begin recording all of my actions. So in this case, I'll copy this body. I'm going to turn this body into a simplified primitive. I am going to set the opacity of this primitive to 25%. And the last thing I want to do is create a rigid group between both of those objects. And we're done. So I'll head back to the Utilities tab and stop that macro. Now, if I click on the drop-down and look at Macro Recorder, you can see all of the actions that I just recorded. I can go ahead and save this. Primitive from body. And now again in the drop-down, custom macros, primitive from body. And now I can select these three dots and pin that to the toolbar. So now this button will run that macro. And we're going to do that right now. I'll delete that primitive and this body. And we'll run the macro. So it says copy this body, turn this one into a primitive, change the opacity on this one to 25, and create a rigid group between those two objects. All right, so that is AnyMacro. If you are curious as to why I put a simplified primitive around my part prior to programming, subscribe to the Cam Factory on YouTube and I'll post a video about it soon. Thank you for watching.